All right. Looks about the right time. And I don't know. I hope folks are here. I hope you come by and check it out. But if not, if you were like, hey, it's Saturday or whatever, because I said it was Saturday, again, my bad on that one. I don't know what it was. Because like I was scheduling a video for release on Saturday, and I guess I don't know. Anyway, whatever. Okay, so this week we released a really fun video, I thought, on TypeScript and React hooks. Got some great feedback, so I'll just kind of roll that in as we go through all this. Hello, Doha. Hello, Bishop. Heyo. Hi, guys. How you folks doing? Hope you're getting ready for a good weekend. Hopefully, I can get a good run in this weekend. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to do yarn create. Yarn create, and then React app. And we'll call it TS hooks. And give it a template of TypeScript. Cool. Amen. Flatline. Yeah, flatline. Earl, hello. Nice. Glad to have you here as a first timer. That's awesome. So, as a first timer, we basically go through the same video that I put out on Wednesday, and then you can ask any questions as we go along. Sometimes we get through the whole thing, sometimes not. Sometimes we go off on a crazy tangent, and that's all fine. It's all part of the fun of it. Hi, Britton. How you doing? Glad to have you here. I'm just drinking some green tea, getting ready to do some TS hook stuff. So what do we get back on some feedback? So let's see. UseState, everybody seemed to dig on that. UseContext is kind of interesting. I'm going to do a different flavor on UseContext because I think folks tend to use context a little bit differently. Like we'll take state and just kind of put it into context as like a value and then a setter, and how do we make that all type safe and make it easy. We'll take a look at that. Let's see. UseReducer, I think that one was pretty straightforward, but we'll jump on into it. And let's see, UseEffect, there can be some interesting stuff around that, I would say. Yeah, but not in TypeScript world. That's more just in general UseEffect closure weirdness. People get hung up on TS hooks. Okay, let's go in there, bring up our VS Code. So, all right. Are y'all using TypeScript in your projects? Just so I know. I can make a better experience for you if you let me know if you're using TypeScript and what hangups you've gotten and all that. All right, so we're gonna go and just kind of pare this down a little bit and make it real easy on ourselves. Don't need all this boilerplate. All right, max width 800 pixels. Make it real small. Font size extra large, and a little padding. Sure, why not? Okay. Or it doesn't really matter. Okay, so here we go, and I'll say, hello world. And oh, hey, it'd be a good idea to run it. That'd be great. Okay, so here we go. Yarn start. I'm so excited about this new video that I'm bringing out next week or this week. Tomorrow on Scandi PWA. So let me take a look. Where is that coming from? Oh, am I running anything? Hold up. Let me. I have something in Docker. Cool. Nice. Okay, let me get rid of that. I always love these names. Wonderful Sutherland. Excellent. Yes. Okay, so let's try it again. Yeah, that was my Docker instance from the video for tomorrow. Yay, cool. Saying, I'm here. Also, I have this thing when I got this invite to DraftBit, which does cool React Native UI building. And so might be interesting to do a video around that as well. So, all right. Hey, Donovan. So wanting to get more into TypeScript, currently not my job. Okay. Well, let's see if we can get you comfortable with it. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go and create a new file called UseState example. And we're going to look at how to do UseState really nicely in TypeScript. So first thing, I'm gonna just stick with functions on this one. So function use state example. And why am I doing functions? You know, one of the viewers, one of the subscribers came up with a really good point, which is basically anytime you do a const, you lose that naming as you look at it in the dev tools. So there's a great thing right there. Okay, so let's go into return. Okay, what are we gonna do? We're gonna make a counter. Everybody loves a counter. So actually, no, wait. Okay, let's do what I did in the video. So that's to make an array of items that I'm gonna push something into. So we'll call it items or numbers. We know it's gonna be numbers, and then we've got numbers set or set numbers, whichever way you want it. Really doesn't matter. And then we're going to use useState and start off with an empty array because, we're going to start fresh and we want to just put numbers in that thing. So let's bring in useState and bring it in from React. And now we're going to go and let's first list those numbers out. So JSON stringify those numbers, just so we can see them. And then we're going to have a button that adds a number. And what that's going to do is on click, we really need a comprehensive tutorial for TS plus React. Not specifically explaining comprehensively. Okay, so what would a comprehensive variant of this be that would satisfy that? So, okay. So let me keep on going here. I'm going to go and put in numbers, but let me know narcissistic narcissus. Wow, man, challenging. What you'd like to see, what you'd like more depth on, and maybe we can get it here. Okay, so right away we're getting some issues around this, and it's basically telling us that the argument of type number, which would be in this case a number array, is not assignable to the parameter type of set state action never. Well, that's kind of, that set state action can be confusing, but that's really just because if you go to the type definition on useState, you get this dispatch set state action, so that's where that comes from. And they get this never. So what's happening here is that TypeScript is saying, well, the only thing that I know is right here is an empty array. So I'm going to type this as a never, right? Which is crazy. What we really want to do is make sure that we've got an array of numbers. So we use less than number, and then you basically just specify the type in there. And that trips folks up when it comes to arrays, certainly where they're empty to start. So let's go and see if this actually works or not. All right, we'll bring in use state example. Oh, look at that. It actually got it for me. Thank you. Okay, and I don't know, let's go and just replace that div. Valtio, the only Finnish word I know, indeed. Okay, so there you go. Add one, blah, 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 blah. That works great. Okay, cool. So nice. That's a nice way to get around that issue where you just got to make sure that TypeScript knows what it is you're actually dealing with. The other thing people run into is a value that can be like maybe a string or a payload or whatever, or null. So let's just do a string in this case. So let's call it name. This is why I should have used the exact same name there. And then in this case, we're going to start off with a null because we haven't gotten it yet. And then we're going to have a setter for that. So again, we're going to start with null. And I'm actually going to make this a little bigger so we can all see the code. So I'm not planning on blowing anything up at this point. So let's go and put in that name. Null is fine in that case. And then in this case, the name set is just going to go and set the name to, I don't know, Jack. There you go. Cool. And we'll do say set name. So this is a problem because what's happening is TypeScript. Let's go back over here in our problems. Hey, argument of type Jack is not assignable to type set state action null. So the only thing that TypeScript knows at this point is the only value it knows is correct is null, which is not quite right. What we really want is we want a string, really, but in that case, null isn't right. So we want a string or we want a null. So that's how you specify the two things that I've seen that trip people up, where it's an array of things or something that could be a value or could be null, but we initialize it to null to start with. So yeah, if there are any questions about that, be sure to drop those in the comments. But that's definitely something when people start like doing their conversion of their JSX code base to TSX, like this is like the #1 thing that people hit like right out of the gate. Okay, let's talk about UseEffect a little bit. UseEffect isn't actually an issue when it comes to TypeScript. Let's take a look. So if I do UseEffect, it actually hints right away what the issue is. You get an effect callback, and then you get a list of dependencies, which is this dependency list. But let's kind of dig into that a little bit because it's not really telling us much. So we right click on it and go to type definition like that. We're jumping on over here into here. And we can actually go and kind of nest that. We'll go into the type definition there. Oh, you don't want to go to definition. I get why that didn't work with go to type definition. I don't know. So in this case, an effect callback is going to take a function which doesn't take any parameters, therefore it doesn't have any types, and it'll return either a void or it'll return a function which also returns a void, and that's the cleanup function. Okay, so Narcissus. Okay, so you want me to build a to-do app where we build the app from scratch, explain the TS parts, why T is saturated with React. YouTube is saturated with React, but TS plus React combo has far more room for content. Well, thank you for that. I think so. I think, certainly there's been a lot of interest in the TS stuff already. Yeah, okay. I might do that. Yeah, actually, that's not a bad idea. So, okay. Valentio means government in Finnish. Yeah, state, right. Internet is full of names like Finnish names, like Linux, MySQL, SSH is a Finnish name? Okay. All right, so anyway, keeping on. So UseEffect. So let's just say that we want to go and do something like a timer in this case. And we'll have a value. That value will be a number. So when it comes to just simple numbers, just putting in a number to start is fine. And we'll call this, number set. And then we'll put the number at the top here, number. And we'll put on timer there. And then the question becomes, oh, wow, numbers. Let's do that. There you go. Cool. We want to have a window.setInterval in here, and we want to just keep that time going. So we go over here and we say number set is the number plus 1. And then we put it on 1,000 as the interval, which means a second, and we'll give it a go. All right. So what we see is the timer go from 0 to 1 and then not continue forward. And here is the reason for that. So this is the #1 video I wanted from you. I use the library daily, and so I have to hear it from a senior's point of view. Okay. Cool. Matthew, if you could be more precise, do you want to hear about like Narcissus stuff? Which is great. I'm not sure I did do a to-do list though. I gotta say the to-do list thing is beaten to death. But I would do another very example that has CRUD in it. Okay. So the reason that this happens is because what we're doing here is we've got a function which in turn creates another function, and that's what's called a closure in JavaScript. And it happens on the first start. And so what we're doing when you create a closure, you capture the value of any variables that you reference within that closure. In that case, you're capturing the value of number at that point. Number is not some sort of special value in this case. Number is just a number, a literal like JavaScript plain old number, right? Which is at 0 at this point. So this is always going to be 0 in this case. The way that you get around this is that you do and you use the variant of the setter where you take the current value and then you add the value to it. So let's do that. And now I've got a functional timer, and I can show you, oops, hello, 2, 3, there we go. And the reason that we would return something out of UseEffect is just to clear this up. So we're going to get back here at timer handle, and we're going to go and return a function at the end of this, which does a clear interval on that timer handle. And that just basically cleans up stuff. So the reason that you'd want to do this is like if you've got this kind of timer handle, or if you're grabbing a ref to a DOM element and then tweaking it, and you want to go and remove like event listeners or stuff like that, then you'd use that callback at the end. All right, let me catch up on my comments over here. Hey, Mahdi, yay! Welcome to it. He's been playing on the colors in the back there. Wants to see what that looks like finally. No, we're in for JMusic, not the to-dos. JMusic doesn't have any cred at this point, so it needs cred. Any app works along basic necessities? Yes. Okay, fair enough. Alrighty then. Ooh, UseContext. So this is fun. So let's go and do a UseContext example. And so what's the UseContext about? Well, context is about not prop drilling. So I'm going to call this UseContext example. So what's prop drilling? Prop drilling is about having like if I want to have some subcomponents in this guy, and those would use numbers and number set, or just numbers or whatever. In prop drilling, I would drill the numbers and number set stuff down to any child components, and then they in turn would drill them into other child components all the way down to where they were used. And so the code smell in this case is if you use if you're doing prop drilling and the components in the intervening layers aren't actually using the state, they're just passing it on, then you're prop drilling, and that's probably a bad thing. And so what you want to use instead is you want to do create context. So you want to have something like create a context. And classic example of this is I want a logged in state. So initial state of the user is null. All right. And then we're going to create some context for this. So we'll have my context equals create context, and then its initial state. Cool. All right. And we're going to go and create a new component. So I'll call it parent component. And it's going to return a myContext.provider at the top of the tree, right? So that's going to provide then the context, which is this initial state, or which is this right here, down to whatever the children are. So cool-ish. All right, let's expose that first. Export default. Complete guide to UseEffect. Ah, yeah, there you go. Great idea. Okay, so what do I need to do? Well, I need to have a value in here. And it's going to say user is Jack. Well, say that I'm logged in currently. But we already see a problem. So cool. All right, well, we have a syntactical problem there first. But we have a type problem as well. So what it's telling us at this point is that the type of string is not assignable to a type of null. So we have a type definition problem on initial state, right? So let's go and do this. Let's say we have an interface for user state. How about that? That sounds good to me. Where user can either be a string or it can be null. And we still have a problem because we haven't actually connected this anywhere. So what I can do is I can go back over here and say that it's a type of user state. And so now at this point, initial state with a user can be either that string or that null. And here I'm putting it in as the string. Okay. And let's actually call it, use it. So I'm going to create a div in here, and we'll say show user component. Cool. Let's go make him. function show user component. And now we got to go pick it up. So we got to use the context. So once you've created the context, you need the UseContext hook, which is going to do user context. We'll just call it CTX or something like that, just to keep it easy. And the only thing you need to do on a UseContext is just give it the context that you want to use. So in that case, it's my context. And let's see. So if I do Command K, Command I, we get, I see, CTX is a user state, is declared but never used. Cool. So that's trying to tell you what the states are. Okay, let's see. User state, Command K, Command I. Ugh, that's not very good. What is this? Command K. Oh, not any better. Not really giving us anything insightful at this point. It is nice to be able to go and like see what the actual typings is, but sometimes the typings are kind of obscured. So sorry, not a great example on that one. I'll find a good spot for it. Okay, so we got the user, and here's the cool thing. Because UseContext is taking as input the context, and the context itself is set up to know that it's an iUser state, then when I go here, I get hinted on the correct properties, which in this case is string or null, and drop in there that, and away we go. So let's take a look. So what else do I need to do? Oh, I need to go and actually use this. So let's go do that. Use context example. And then bring that in. Okay. And let's go put a little thingamajiggy here. So use state. Oh, and that was also UseEffect. And UseEffect. And then in this one, it's UseContext. Nice. Cool. All right, let's go take a look. Ah, perfect. Great. So that's how you prop drill. So, but on how you avoid prop drilling, I can actually show a little bit. Let's go jump into there and see if we, like, because this isn't really showing like the big benefit here. So I could say like, let's have another function that's like a container, and it takes children, and that children is of a type of React node, which I need to go and bring in. All right. And it just returns, I don't know, some sort of a container div or whatever, and then the children. Easy peasy. And there you go. I'm going to drop this guy in a container, like so. There should be no visible difference. Yeah, there is not. I can go and like put a bounding box on this, show that we're actually doing it. Style is a big border 0.25 rems of solid green or whatever. All right, so there you go. It's ugly, but you can see that it's now being contained. If I was to do prop drilling, what I'd have to do is go and take the state and then drill it all the way through container and into show user component, which is not what I want to do, or, you know, so, it's not quite right, is it? So if I did, it's more like this. Yeah. Right. So I don't know that there's something in there that uses my context, but there you go. So now I don't have to know. It automatically works. Modding. So why isn't setState the default and setState n+1 since it avoids the stale state? I think it is slowly becoming the default. I think it's becoming like best practice. I'm definitely seeing more and more folks like, hey, that's our preferred thing. Doesn't really matter. If you could get away without it, use it anyway. Okay, and then I think that's good. So let's talk about UseReducer. So this is the really fun one because this is actually a lot like Redux. In fact, you can make a pretty decent argument that Redux is actually baked into React nowadays. Maybe that's why it's so big. So we'll call it UseReducer example. Does anybody use Reducer? out there, because I actually do it myself, but I don't know how many folks actually use it. So UseReducer is basically when useState kind of peters out, when it's having just, you know, a single variable or a small object is not what you need. You need more action types, stuff like that. Then UseReducer is a really nice solve for that. So the first thing you need is you need an initial state. And we'll call this, I don't know, cookies. We'll say we have one cookie, Cookie Monster. Okay, and then there's going to be, let's see, a type of action types. And this is just going to be our different actions we can apply to our payload of cookies. So we're going to do a type in here, and we'll call it grab cookies. And then there's a payload of how many cookies that you grabbed, number. And then there's eat cookies, right? So these are the different actions that you can apply to your store. All right. And then your reducer, we'll call it, we can give it a reducer function, cookie reducer. It takes, as I recall, it takes a state. And then in this case, what do you want for typing? Well, you could give it a type, or you could just say type of initial state, since that seems to be good enough, right? We know we have a cookie and all that, so there you go. And then you need an action, which is going to be one of those action types. We'll do our usual switch, which is the thing to do, and we'll take the action, and now we're getting hinted real nice about what types we have. And so we'll just do a case of grab, where we'll add the cookies to the payload, or add the number of payload cookies in the payload to the payload, or whatever. So we're basically returning the current state, and then the number of cookies, where it's the original number of cookies. Whoa, where'd that come from? Cookies plus the action payload. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And they say Redux is tough. It's not that tough. It is tough once you get into sagas, and then it gets crazy. All right, so there we go. We want to eat stuff too. There's clearly something unhappy about this. Probably my syntax, which is all effed up. There you go. Okay, and we want to eat cookies, which means we get rid of them. And then the default, and that's the only real difference between this reducer and a Redux reducer, is that in a Redux reducer, you do return state on the default, and in one of these reducers, you do a throw, new exception, and you basically give it anything you want. You can just say, bad action. No. There you go. Isn't that right? Am I wrong about that? Throw exception? Okay. Sure. Why not? Okay. Okay. So now let's actually use it. UseReducer example. It's not going to take any props. And we're going to export that. Cool. Wild Geekasa. Yeah, okay, cool. And then the cool thing is with reducers, UseReducer, you still get the state, but you also now get a dispatch. So instead of having a set state, you have this dispatch thing, and we'll just throw in there UseReducer, and we'll give it the reducer function that we have. And then also we want to give it the initial state. So we just bring in that initial state, and now we've got the state and the dispatch. So let's go and format this up. We have a number of cookies. And then we're just going to go eat them or grab them. Grab them. So let's implement grab them, and then we'll just copy that and paste that into eat them, which is pretty much the same thing. So on click in this case. And this is interesting. So somebody actually, all right, I'll get there. But there's a thing that people run into when it comes to TypeScript, which is they go and they type a function or create an API definition of a type for a function, and then the TypeScript doesn't complain when a version of that type doesn't actually take all the arguments, and that's okay, right? In this case, it's not going to complain to me that I'm not taking this event if I don't actually need anything from that event. But there is an event going to this function, right? I'm just going to ignore it, and that's okay. So you need to dispatch, and then you just give it that object, and that's a really cool thing. So in this case, it's telling you, oh, you need a type. What are my different types? I'm going to grab, and then the payload, I'm going to grab 5 cookies, but I'm going to eat 10. Nom, nom, nom. Nom, nom, nom. And I will eat them. I'll eat 10. Eat 10 in a sitting. There you go. Okay, looks pretty good. Let's try that. It gets really long, but it's not doing all that much. It's just long because Prettier likes to make things really, really long when you have that. So UseReducer, and bring in our UseReducer example. Ooh, was it hinting me? Yes. Perfect. Thank you. Are you guys having light fights over there? UseReducer can't resolve console. Oh, that's interesting. Did I bring in console? Console. Whoa. Man. Okay. That blew up. Oh, hold on. I think I was right. Throw a new example. Am I wrong? What am I doing wrong with that? Oh, through no error. Ugh. Boy, this is what I get for dealing with different languages. Okay. I'm trying to teach my kids C++ at the same time that I'm teaching y'all TypeScript. Just doesn't work. Okay. So I can grab them and I can eat them. Nice. Pretty cool. And all type safe and all the rest of it. Is it an uppercase? Which one? Okay. That's why Jax uses it that way. Let me get up on my comments over here. UseState is async. Again, not guaranteed a state. Hey, Jack. Hi, Haptic. Good to see ya. Redux toolkit's pretty nice. Yep, for sure. Okay. See, now that you're not answering a question, never mind. Sorry. I missed the first 15 minutes. My bad. Hey, Pure Luigi. Nice. Luigi. There are many different ways to throw an error, yes, and that was not one of them. Okay. Oh, wait. I messed up here. Line UseContext. Let's see. Oh, I no longer need React Node. That's fine. Let's get down to having no warnings. I'm a big no warnings fan. Okay. So cool stuff. Let's take a look if there's more hooks and references and all that we want to take a look at. Maybe if my browser wants to actually, go back, that'd be cool. Okay. UseRef. We can take a look at it real fast. It's not that big of a deal. Use callback, use memo. Yeah, okay, we'll take a look. Okay, so let me go back to use state as an example of something to use a memo on. So memo is not something we use all the time, but yeah. My daughter's actually in college, so this is her CS 101 courses. They're teaching C++, which I can't even understand now. It seems to me like if you want kids just to start off and do something cool, like you start off with like maybe CodePen and JavaScript, and you're going to learn all the basics. You're going to learn like flow, conditionals, looping, all the rest of it. But you're going to have something where the students can go and like show their friends, which I think is cool. Whereas opposed to C++, it's like, okay, you got to log out on my Linux machine and then run the CLI, and then you can play blackjack. Okay, so let's just say that I want to go and get all the odd numbers from my number set over here. So I'm going to go and say odd numbers, and then I'm going to use memo. And this is rarely used and rarely talked about, honestly. So it's kind of nice to actually show it off right here. So we're going to look at numbers. And the idea here is that we will do any time-intensive calculations before the render, and then memoize them. So as long as what we're depending on doesn't change, then we will not do that CPU intensive calculation again. It's not meant to do stuff like fetch and all that. So it's just meant to be an optimization for rendering. Okay, so in a numbers, you're going to want to filter, get a number, and then I think odds would be n mod 2 equals 1, like that. That's going to give you your odd numbers. And then what you got to do is also add the list of items that you're depending on, which in this case is numbers. So anytime numbers changes, odd numbers will be updated. That's really all it is. Let's do use memo over here. And go back over to our numbers and put in there odds. Give it the JSON stringify of our odd numbers, and we'll see if it works. Give it a go. All right, so we have no odds at the moment. Let's go and add a number. Cool, nice. So I'm adding numbers. The big canonical list of numbers has all the evens in it as well, but now the odds just come through as just the odd numbers. All right. Yeah, I'm down, man. Narcissistic, I totally agree. Start off with something where you can make some progress, show some cool stuff, get the folks excited about doing computer programming, and then bring in the nastiness of C++, which I spent 15 years doing. And believe me, I know C++. I really do. But I wouldn't use it for anything other than like graphics card stuff nowadays, or, you know, that kind of stuff. What's the overhead of using useMemo, calling it, creating an anonymous function versus just performing the operation? Well, okay. So the one that they use as the canonical example in here is a Fibonacci sequence, which is, I would say, you know, that's more CPU intensive. I've never really found a reason to use Fibonacci, but okay, here's an example. A password strength detector, right? You're going to want to go and put in the little dash lines or whatever, but it's within a form, and you only want to make sure that you update the password strength calculation when somebody's actually typed in another password, and it's all in the same form. That's the place where you might use something like useMemo. At least that's just my take, Xerox. For me, Pascal for a brief time, and then C++. Yes. C++ and Pascal were like big bruising fights back in the day. Pascal's better than C. No, C++ is better than Pascal, all that stuff. Okay. I think actually that's pretty good. And where the other video got into it with some more is around actually some fix-ups on the stuff that I had not messed up, but not covered as well in the first video. And that was around some component stuff. I do want to take a different little look at context though. So, because what people do is they usually do this thing where they'll take a set state and they'll pass it in as context. So let's go take this. So I want to go and do, okay, so user and user set, like that. And I want to do use state. And I'm going to start off with, do I have an initial state? Oh, I do. That's cool. All right. But I want to make sure that this is a I user state. Isn't that what I called it? Oh, yeah, I called it I user state. Okay, cool. And now I can provide it like that, right? So that's fine. Did I mess something up? What did I mess up? What did I mess up? I didn't mess anything up. Can I find use state? That's all right. There you go. I should be happy. My context provider has a corresponding closing tag. What? Oh. Okay, fine. Wait, hold on. I just want a user. Yeah, there you go. That's cool. Okay, but now now this guy only gets access to the user, and we really want an ability for him to have like a button to go and set the user. Functional programming. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So what folks tend to do is they'll do user, and then they want to also send along SetUser, right? And that would take a string and or new name or something, name, which is a string, and then return a void. Okay. Oh wait, that's hold on. That goes up in the interface up here, and then down here we'll set that to yeah, just like nothing, like so. Okay, cool. And then down here we're gonna go in, because this is now wrong, right? Okay, we give it user, but we don't give it SetUser. So let's do user and SetUser, which is user set. But honestly, let's just be nice about it. SetUser, like that. Okay. And is this should be working. But why isn't it working? So let's go take a look. Type IUserState is not settable to type a string. That's true. Where am I trying to set it to a string? I'm not trying to set it to a string. Okay, there you go. Okay. Not, oh, okay. Not assignable to type. Okay. Okay. Value, name are incompatible. That should be okay. Well, all right. So that's what this is the issue I'm trying to get to. So, okay, we'll call it UseState result, and we just drop it in there, right? Oh wait, no, we don't really want to do that. I'm so bad. Oh man, this is why I do stuff like on the fly like this. What's my current job? Something tells me, all right, teaching and or self-employment. I am actually working. I do work at a small startup. I used to work at Nike. Used to be the principal engineer over at Nike and guided them through doing a move from a Java monorepo or Java monolithic app into a microsite architecture with React. And at the end there, I started to teach TypeScript, so we up level all the engineers, and then that actually turned out very nice. Okay, so let me kind of continue on beating myself up on this. So let's see, user, this should be working. IUserState, okay, and I'm going to give it an object, and that object has a user, right? And then SetUser. So what's your problem? This should be fine. IUserState is not assignable to set type of string. Why is it asking for a string? Man, this is why you shouldn't do this stuff live. But anyway, I had this last night and it was working for me. I'm just like spacing on what the issue is at this point. Like, why would it be thinking this is a string? Initial state's okay, the value is that. Like, what's your problem? All right, so what do you want, context? You want SetUser? Cool, I'll give you SetUser. You want user? Cool, I'll give you a name, Jack. Oh, I know what it is. Okay, this is what it was. Okay, so, all right, user and SetUser. This is what it is. Okay, there we go. The initial state is going to be that string. Now are you happy? And that's going to be a string. Yay! Okay, cool. There we go. Yay! All right, so is this going to work? So yeah, and now I can create a button on this side that's going to go and do that set, because I can grab from the context and get that setter. But I do want to show you how to do this a bit better in React land, in type safety land. Let's make a button. Sorry for having to work through all that. It's the joy of trying to think on your feet while you're doing a live stream and worrying about whether people are getting stuff from it and all of that. Okay. At least I'm not sweating. All right, so here we go. Sally, there we go. Cool. But what if, this is kind of a weird way to type this. It does work. It's fine. But what you could do is you could also say, I want to create a new function, it's a helper function, and it's called like create use name state. How about that? Call it that way. And it's going to be a function, and it's going to use state and give it, I don't know, a string, whatever. Call it Jack, right? And maybe even, hey, let's put in a default value. Default value is a string. And we'll just pass it along the default value. And then we'll use namestate down here. And then over here, instead of setting like this, we can go, okay, so this is the, okay, hold on. Let's do string or null, like that. So we have the right typing. We can literally do that the value type is the type of the return of that and its first return. All right, that should work. And if it doesn't, then I can just do that. Should work. Nope. That should work. Type 0 to that default value. Oh, return type. Sorry, return type. There it is. Yes. Cool. So that gets the 0th item. So the use state returns a value and returns a setter. So to get the value type, you take the return type of that function and then just grab off the 0th item, which would be value. And then the setter type is the second item on there. And so that makes a much, much cleaner way to define that interface. So there you go. So that's if you want to do your context with having an object that has symbols in it, like user and SetUser, then that's a really nice way of defining that. Okay, cool. That was one of the questions that I got about context, and sorry for the fumbling around there, but I think that actually worked. Okay, now just to finish up on some stuff that we did last week, there was, everybody was like, oh man, you used functions when you defined all your components, like a heading component, and you did stuff like children, which you defined doing this way, which is correct, I would say. React node, noid, and okay, and we're going to return, like an H1 or something like that with the children in it, and that's totally fine. Let me go and just import React node real fast, just so we can be correct. Okay, cool. And what I neglected to mention was that actually a really nice idea is to actually just do interface, heading props. And that way, you can just make sure, oops, let me go do that. And then I can replace this guy with heading props. And that's just a nice upgrade there. That's fine. And then if you're going to do that, obviously both of these things be exported. And then, hey, a downstream consumer can use your heading, but they can also get the props and make sure that get that as a type and do all the type stuff with it. And then the other thing was, can we do this around const? And yeah, if you want to do that, sure, you can say const heading, and you can basically give it exactly the same thing. And there you go. But hey, as another viewer pointed out, right, you're losing the ability to get that nice feedback when it comes to the developer tools. And then the other thing was around generics for components, which is great. I'm so stoked that this actually works. And that AWS UI toolkit that I was playing around with does this for a lot of its functions or a lot of its components. So let's say the idea is you want to create an item list, and it takes a list of items and a render function, a render prop, we call it. Well, what are those items? Could be all kinds of things, but you just want an array of them. So it's going to be array. You could put like any, you could put unknown, or you could make a generic. So you could say that this is a list item. Actually, you know what? Before we do, maybe I'll take a different pass at doing this. Let's start off with a string. Just make it real easy, right? So render, and then we'll just do hey, we're going to give you a string, and you're going to give us back a React node, and we'll handle all the rest because we're just that cool. Okay, and then we're going to go and do our unordered list. We're going to do a map for all the items, and take a string and the index. And we're going to create a list item with that render result of the string. And that's actually a really nice interface, by the way. Like from a consumer standpoint, that's actually really cool. Okay, so how many ways did I mess this up? Okay, I messed it up there. And am I missing one more? Oh, I put in too many now. Okay, it's map, it's not maps. Hey, did I finally get it right? No, I still didn't get it right. Okay, what else am I missing in here? Thank God. Okay. Oh, that's it. I need one more parentheses. Jeez. Okay. Silly question. Since Microsoft created TS, why isn't it just the same as C#? I think they're trying to create something that was just the whole principle of TypeScript is that it just sits on top of JavaScript, and you should be able to take off all of the typing and just have functional JavaScript. So in addition to that constraint, like the idea that TypeScript is never going to write code for you. It's only going to check the code to make sure it's type compliant. All right, so let's do this. Let's do items, an item list of items, ABC. Let's put that in an array. And then we'll give it a render prop where it just takes a function, takes a string, and puts a strong on there and string. Okay, and close it up. Cool. Let's go take a look at our code. Yeah, that worked great. So yeah, really nice looking API surface there. But what happens when I want to go and make it generic, right? I want to go and have this apply to anything. So 1, 2, 3, right? Well, that's not good because now 1, 2, 3 is a type of number array. It's not a type of string array. So what I can do is I can literally just go and take anywhere where a string appears in here, which is just these two things, and then replace it with item type, just like that. And then put item type in here, and now I have a generic. And you can now see that this is fine. And if I were to go over here to str, and I would bring up the hinting on this, it would tell me that in this case, str, which is not quite right, is going to be a number. Cool. So I'm going to make it num, something like that. And I can make, of course, I can make that a little bit more generic and say item. Make this a bit more generic. Yeah, that kind of thing. And then it can make nice and usable. And then, so folks were excited about that, which I can fully understand. But they wanted to oh, hey, can you do it in a const? Again, huge fanboys over const. So let's try that. Let's do the const version of this. Let's see if I can get that right. Const item list. And now it's going to be this item type. And we'll go in. Okay, that's going to return a React element. And then the implementation is going to look like that. Is that going to be right? Okay. Nope. It's not happy about that. Oh, wait. Hold on. I got this reversed. Man, this gets hairy real fast. Okay. So get rid of that. Move that to there. Is that right? Okay. Now, okay. React element. I don't think I have that. So let's bring that in. Okay. Nope. Still not loving it. Okay. See, then this is why I actually didn't like. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Hold on. Give me one more. Get another pass of this. Okay. All right. There we go. Probably don't need that anyway, but let's take a look. All right. Okay. And then equals items and render. Okay, that should be good. What am I missing? Oh, I see. Yes, finally. Oy, there. Okay. So, see, this is why I don't usually do this. This is why I like the function syntax so much better, because it's so much easier to read. So, okay. So now we're defining inline. We're defining that this is the signature of item list. It is itself a generic. And the only issue around here is that we're returning a React node. That wasn't a problem before. Oh, React node. Nice. Okay, there you go. React node. Now it's fine. Okay. But yeah, so I just find this a little bit harder to read. But that's just me. I appreciate the whole shifting left as an advantage over TS, but can we agree that TS syntax is ugly? I would say generic syntax can be very, very ugly to read. Why do we need to set the type for the third state number? Okay, let's go down here. Like, is that the state you're talking about, Alex? Hi, Jack. What are you building? We are just going through React hooks with TypeScript. That's all we're looking at the moment. Okay, but actually we got through that, and now we're just doing a couple touch-ups on the previous video around typing when it comes to generics for component types, which in this case, we've got this generic list for items that's rendering out items based on a list that you give it. So in this case, like, it looks like this in reality. You give it some items, you give it an array, you give it a render function, and then it automatically picks those up for you, and away you go. The reason I'm doing that is because I saw that a lot of that in the AWS UI toolkit, and I thought that was really cool. I haven't seen it in stuff like Material or Chakra. They don't tend to do that sort of stuff. I just think it's a nice UI. It's a nice API for components. 100% I found generics to be ugly in every language. That's true. Yeah, but they're so useful. They're so useful though. So I mean, I wish they could just be a little bit easier to track. Okay. Whew. Wow, this is a big video. Thank you so much for your questions, and I'm going to be over on the Discord server. So if you go over to the Discord server, where you can go over on a Lightbot now, and you can see that folks are playing with the Lightbot on the Saturn V rocket back there. Oh my God, STL. Oy, that's some craziness. But yeah, I'll be over there for a little bit. Come on by, say hi. I'll be over in the general channel if you want to just chill out and have some fun. You can actually, I'm in there right now. I'll share my video. Hi, how you doing? Wow, that is like meta. So just come on by and enjoy. And the link for the Discord server is in the description down below. Look forward to seeing y'all. And this has been great. Thank you so much for showing up. And I'll see you next Friday.